Hello friends, we have reached lesson 8 of series 1, part 2. Now we have known a lot about sea freight operations. It's time to get more specific, especially about interpreting container sea freight, ocean freight services, because sea transportation is different from other modes of transportation due to its structure and various characteristics. We can say it's a different mode of transportation, of course. Why? Because there is a ship, there are containers, and there is a differentiation between FCL and LCL. All of these create some differences. One of them is the topic we will cover in this lesson, the meaning and differences of direct and transshipment service. It is, to be honest, one of the topics that most newcomers, new employees in our industry and our customers can misunderstand. That's why it's useful and important to provide these details while explaining the transportation service to our customers. This issue is often misunderstood, as it is thought of as the route or service of flights. For example, I am looking for a flight from Istanbul Airport, Istanbul Airport to UK Heathrow Airport, and I want my flight to be direct. What does a direct flight mean to you, my friends? What do you understand from a flight being direct? I assume most of you have had a flying experience. If not, don't worry. I can say you missed out on much, especially if you have a fear of flying, airports, rush. What a stress. Let's take a look at the simulation on our screen about this topic. To have a direct flight means the following: the plane takes off from Istanbul Airport and lands at its destination, which is Heathrow Airport. It means that after taking off from Istanbul, the plane does not make any stops at other airports and directly lands at Heathrow. That's what we call a direct flight, my friends. However, sometimes on long flights such as Sydney, Istanbul, from Istanbul port to Sydney Airport, there might be a connecting flight. For example, our flight is connected via Singapore. Via Singapore. What does this mean? The plane take off from Istanbul, lands Singapore Airport, and we also get off this plane. Then what happens in Singapore? We board a different plane of different airline that has an agreement with the first one and fly to Sydney. My friends. The situation in the air freight industry is like that. However, the concept of direct and transshipment services in ocean freight based on containerized is a bit different, and understanding this difference is crucial. Now let's move on to our new screen. Now, where should we start? Let's take a port from the Far East. For example, Chinese and Shanghai port to Belgium's Antwerp port for an import shipment from Shanghai to Antwerp. for an import shipment. When we search for the schedule on the carrier's websites, you will come across a table like this. Port of loading Shanghai, port of discharge Antwerp, yeah. Transit time, TT means transit time, yeah. 34 days, and direct service. You can find the ship details on the carrier's reading finder pages along with the information port of loading Shanghai and port of discharge Antwerp, 34 days of course, and direct service. Yes, I have learned from the carrier's website that the Shanghai Antwerp service is direct. However, this is not entirely the same logic as we briefly mentioned in the airline industry. Yes, here is Shanghai, okay, here is Shanghai, and here is Antwerp, okay. As I mentioned before, according to the information I found on the carrier's website, the service is direct. However, it does not mean that the vessel carrying our container will go directly from Shanghai to Antwerp without stopping at any other port. So, what will happen? You may wonder, since it was a direct service. Yes, the service is direct, but as I said earlier, the concept of direct service in the maritime industry is different. Our container was loaded on the vessel A, at Shanghai port. Vessel A departed from Shanghai and will call and berth at the port on the route respectively. Okay. After leaving Shanghai, the vessel will call at Yantian, where it will complete its operation and then continue its journey to Tanjung Palawas port in Malaysia. From there, it will depart again, pass through the Suez Canal, and then Straits of Gibraltar, call at Sines port in Portugal, then Rotterdam port in the Netherlands, and finally arrive at Antwerp port in Belgium. Yes, finally, vessel A that departed from Shanghai has arrived at Antwerp port. But is it a direct service? After going through the presentation, we can see that it does not entirely fit, or it is far from the direct service logic that we had in our minds. Why is that? What we have in our minds is a logic is this, just like the flight from Istanbul to London, where the airplane takes off from the departure airport and goes directly to the destination airport. The reason for thinking this way is to hope for a similar logic as in air transportation. Additionally, on the internet or website, the explanation of direct and transshipment services in the sea transportation is shown in a quite simple manner, as you see on the screen right now. Okay, basic direct description. If you ask whether this is wrong, I cannot say it is wrong, but I can say it is incomplete. In the general context, I can say it is a correct visual. It is correct visual and animation. Yeah, it is correct visual and animation. However, it lacks some important details. That's why in this topic, I'm explaining these details to you in a comprehensive way. Both the sales department of ABC Shipping, my company, and the operation department in the ocean freight division need to know these details and differences between the two terms very well. It is crucial to provide quick and easy answers to any questions that our customers may ask in this regard. Let's take a look at the screen right now. In the visual, the vessel went directly from point E to point B. Yes, this is a direct service. This is a direct service. Okay. However, as you know at the moment, there are other intermediate ports that vessel visited before reaching its final destination. When you see a visual like this, you are aware. You are now aware of what is happening in the background, because in the container shipping, the key element to consider is the container itself. For example, the container was loaded onto the ship at port E and discharge at port B. The container was handled only these two ports. Prior to this, the container was not unloaded and left at another port, nor was it loaded onto another ship. Yeah, let's go back to the previous slide.